Do you remember the first grade teacher from Virginia who was shot by her 6-year-old student back in January of 2023? Well, she sued the school board, the superintendent, the principal, and the assistant principal of her school for $40 million, alleging that the assistant principal, a woman named Dr. Ebony Parker, could have stopped the incident, but didn't. And a Virginia jury just agreed with the teacher. So I'm not a lawyer, but let me give you the recap on the case and what evidence the jury saw to get to their verdict. Giving you a heads up now, there are a lot of names in this recap, so try to follow me. So this is the teacher, 25-year-old Abby Zwerner, and in January of 2023, she was shot by her 6-year-old student who was referred to in the trial as JT. A little bit of context about JT. He had some prior behavioral issues, and a few days before the shooting incident, he had actually thrown Abby's phone and cracked the screen. Here are some clips from the school's counselor, whose name is Rolando Rawls, and Abby Zwerner herself testifying about the phone throwing incident.
Okay, and he had some behavioral issues?
Yes.
And he also had some learning issues. And in fact, 2 days before, he threw Miss Werner's cell phone, correct?
Yeah, I was called on a walkie-talkie.
They told you, come down and get him and take him out of here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Werner, there was an incident with your cell phone on January 4, 2023, correct?
Yes.
And he threw your phone in the classroom?
He slammed my phone to the ground.
And it broke the screen protector?
Yes.
When he did that, you took him by the hand and you removed him from the classroom?
Yes, I brought him to Miss West's classroom across the hall. I asked her to call for help on her walkie-talkie, and Mr. Rawls and Miss Palladini came.
And Mr. Rawls came, and he removed JT from the classroom?
Yes.
And he was suspended for 1 day for that, correct?
Yes.
And he returned to school on January 6th?
Yes.
His mother brought him into class?
Yes.
And she apologized for what JT did?
Yes, he did as well.
So January 6th was JT's first day back at school after the phone throwing incident. And while the day starts off with an apology from JT, over the course of that day, there were reports that he was back to being aggressive. So during the kids' lunch hour, Ms. Werner goes to Dr. Parker's office. Abby tells Dr. Parker that JT had threatened a kindergartner and was being aggressive with the school security officer. Now, when Abby goes to see Dr. Parker, the school's reading specialist, a woman named Amy Kovac, was also in Dr. Parker's office, and she overheard this whole exchange.
Abby came in and was standing there like waiting to be recognized. She never was recognized by Dr. Parker. She didn't look up. She didn't look at her. Abby did say that he had already threatened a kindergartner during lunch and also was, I guess, being aggressive with the security officer. And then she left because she had to pick up her kids, and it was like 11:45.
So Abby leaves Dr. Parker's office and goes to pick up her students from lunch. And according to Ms. Kovac, who was still in Dr. Parker's office, once Abby left, Dr. Parker said if Abby wants to call JT's mom regarding his behavior, she was free to do that. So Ms. Kovac leaves Dr. Parker's office to go tell Abby that she could call JT's mom. But as she's doing that, she runs into Abby's class in the hallway.
So when you're going to tell Abby, you encounter JT.
Correct. Ran up to me, gave me a hug. I'm like, hey, buddy, are you having a good day? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay, well, make good choices, make Mrs. Kovac proud. From there, the rest of the class was walking down, so I just waited. And at that time, 2 little girls came out of Abby's room to the doorway while I was still in the hall and told me that JT had a gun in his bag. I was like, oh. I walked in and I went straight to him. I was focused straight on him. He was like balled up in his seat, and that is not normal for him. So I pulled up a chair next to him and I was like, hey buddy, what's going on? The girls tell me you have a gun in the bag. And I said, can I have that bag? And he said, no one is getting that bag. So then he sat there quiet for a little bit and he started talking. I was quiet. He started talking. He said, people are picking on my friend. And I was thinking to myself, ooh, you have a little friend already. But I said, well, let me tell you how school works. If you have a problem, you can tell me, you can tell Ms. Werner, you can tell an adult. And I said again, do you have a gun in that bag? And he said, no one is getting that bag. Then Ms. Werner called them to the carpet. I came and sat right next to him. And then he started telling me, he said, I got new shoes on, red and black Nikes. And I was like, oh, I like those. He said, but I have to go change my shoes at lunchtime because these are new. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I went to Miss Werner. I asked her when recess was. She said in 10 minutes. I said, okay, I'll come back in 10 minutes to check the bag. But at that point, as soon as I left, I went and reported to Dr. Parker that there was a possible gun. I told her what I had done.
According to the testimony, this was the first mention of the gun and the first time Dr. Parker is notified about the possible gun. In addition to relaying the information about the possible gun, Ms. Kovac also tells Dr. Parker when the kids go to lunch, Ms. Kovac is going to go back to Abby's classroom and check JT's bag herself, which Dr. Parker seemed to be in agreement with.
I told her that when Abby's going out to recess in like 10 minutes that I would be back to check the bag. She just kind of nodded and acknowledged that that was what I was going to do. When I got to my office, I looked at my cell phone. Abby had texted me and said that they were now outside, but he had gone to his book bag and took something out of his book bag and put it in his jacket pocket. After I hear that, I go right to Abby's room and I'm checking that bag. I knew it wouldn't be there because Abby pretty much told me something he put into his jacket pockets.
Do you then go back to Dr. Parker's
Yes,
office?
I do. I tell her that I went and checked the bag, and then I also tell her that Abby texted me that he took something from the bag and he put it in his pocket. She did say that, well, he has little pockets, and I said he put it in his jacket pocket. And I was kind of mad, and I walked away. So I went down and went outside to check on Abby and to check on JT to see if he would come to me. At that time, when I get out there, talk to Abby, she said she overheard R say, "Keep your hands in your pocket. Don't take your hands out of your pocket."
So do you then go back in and tell Dr. Parker about that, what you saw, the encounter on the playground?
So, yes.
You left that information with Dr. Parker, correct?
Correct. That was all before testing.
So what did you understand the protocol was on that day when you...
Report to administrator,
And who did you report it to?
Dr. Ebony Parker, several times.
So while all of that was happening with Dr. Parker and Amy Kovac, Abby Zwerner had gone out to recess with her class. And while she's out there, she tells her neighbor teacher, whose name was Miss West, that she saw JT take something out of his bag before recess. So now Miss West is also on alert.
When I got out there, I was told, or Abby told me, that she saw JT take something from his backpack and put it in his coat. And I spent the rest of recess kind of watching JT and another student, R. They kept going behind the tree at the playground, and then R would walk away. They'd come back together, and I witnessed that for 15 or 20 minutes while we were outside.
When the first grade classes go in from recess, Miss West pulls R from the line to ask him what him and JT were doing at recess.
And when I pulled R out of, I can't honestly remember if it was from the line or from the classroom, but I pulled him to the hallway and I asked him what was going on. He said, "I can't tell you." And he was visibly nervous. And I said, "It's okay, you can tell me." And he said, "No, I can't." He said that he would hurt us, he would blow us up. I said, "It's okay, you can tell me." And he told me, he said JT had a gun. And I said, "Well, what color was it?" Trying to see if it was real or not, I guess. And he said, "Well, it was bullet colored." And he was crying at that point, and I called the office to report it. And Mr. Sims answered the phone.
Why did you feel the need to call the office and report it?
Because R had said that JT had a gun.
Was that the protocol, to call the office and report it to an
Yes.
administrator?
Yes.
While Miss West is in the hallway speaking with R, the school counselor, Mr. Rawls, comes by. Miss West asked Mr. Rawls to speak with R since he was visibly scared and shaken by what JT had told him.
Mr. Ross is a guidance counselor, so we rely on them to speak to children when they have some big emotions. And I said, "He's scared. He is visibly shaken. Can you please talk to him?" And I reported to Mr. Rawls that I had been told that JT's backpack had been checked. I said to Mr. Rawls, "Why can't we check his person? R says he had it on him. Can we check him?" And at that point, Mr. Rawls left my room. He said he was going to Dr. Parker to ask permission to search JT.
And then did you see Mr. Rawls again that day?
He came back and told me that we were told we could not search him.
Now, before I get into Mr. Rawls' testimony, I want to play a clip from Mr. Sims' testimony. Because if you recall, Miss West said that when she called the office to report what R had told her, Mr. Sims is the one who answered the phone.
And I called the office to report it, and Mr. Sims answered the phone.
So here's what Mr. Sims says about that first phone call.
Mrs. West, she asked me to ask Dr. Parker if he was searched. And what did Dr. Parker say back to you?
I believe she said that the backpack had been searched. I relayed it back to Mrs. West.
After the first phone call, Miss West calls the office back, and Mr. Sims, who is still manning the phones, answers.
I believe Mrs. West called back to the office, and then she asked about if JT's person had been searched. I believe I said I wasn't sure, but I would ask Dr. Parker. Mr. Rawls was in the doorway, and I chimed in to say that Mrs. West had called back and asked about the jacket. I believe I left after I had chimed in about Mrs. West calling back.
So now let's talk about Mr. Rawls. Again, he is the school counselor, and he first hears about this gun from Miss West after seeing student R in the hallway crying and kind of shaken. Mr. Rawls leaves the conversation with student R and goes to Dr. Parker's office and asks her about searching JT's person.
It was around, probably it was after 12, so I'd say between the hours of 12:45 to like 1:15. I spoke to Miss West, who was the teacher, first grade teacher across the hall from Mrs. Zwerner. So
Did Miss West share with you what the boy R shared with her?
basically she said he was upset because JT during recess time had mentioned to him something to the fact that he had some type of ammunition or bullets, I think the terminology was utilized, and he showed him or displayed it to him, and during that time he also told R that if he had told anybody that he was going to harm him in some type of way. I think the word was to shoot. I was informed they had already checked his backpack. The backpack was in possession of the administration at that time. So I said, well, even if they checked his backpack and nothing was in there, had they checked his person? And they said nobody had checked his person at that time. So my request was to go to speak to administration about checking his person. I spoke to Dr. Parker, and then I did ask, would it be okay if I checked his person? Yes. She basically said, because he was on a certain plan, that they had already checked the backpack, nothing was in there. So she said, well, his mother will be coming to get him soon, so we can hold off and wait, and maybe when mom comes and pick him up, we can check his person at that time. I didn't want to step over any boundaries, so I wasn't going to check him without permission. So I just went back. I left out of the office, and I did go back to Mrs. Z's classroom, and I expressed to her, I said, well, I spoke to Mr. Dr. Parker. She said she didn't want me to check his person at this time. And I told her if she would need any more assistance, just to let me know. And that was pretty much it. And after that, I left and went back to my office.
All right, so Abby's attorneys are saying this is now the third person and the fifth time that someone has expressed concern about a potential weapon being on campus directly to Dr. Parker. Now, all of this seemed to be happening leading up to about 1 o'clock, 1:15, and the school day was scheduled to end at 2:30. But around 2 p.m., just 30 minutes before JT's mom would have come to the school to pick him up, there's a gunshot. Here's what the reading specialist, Amy Kovacs, said about what she remembers.
So Laura and I had finished testing. At 2 o'clock, both of us were walking down the hall, and at that point I heard that gunshot, and instinctively I walked into that room. As I come in the door, Abby's on this side. I see blood on her leg, so I knew she was hit. I wasn't really sure. On this side, I see Jen open the door, the kids screaming and running out. I felt like I had a bubble of God around me, and I walked straight to him. He was standing there with his legs kind of spread open, arms crossed and cocky. And when I got to him, I didn't say anything. I took his wrist because I knew he shot with his left hand. I walked to Abby's desk where her phone was. I put him in between my legs, put my arms around him. I picked up the phone to call 911. Remembered you have to hit 911 to get out. I asked if this was 911. They said yes. I said, this is Rich Neck. A teacher's been shot. I have the shooter. Send help.
The school then goes on a lockdown, and here's what the school's counselor, Mr. Rawls, says about what he remembers.
They came over the announcements with the lockdown. It just sounded like it might have been a drill in any school lockdown. You're supposed to stay in place, lock your doors and things of that nature. So I just proceeded to do so. Maybe a few seconds after that, another frantic lockdown was mentioned over the loudspeaker, and I knew something was not right.
No, Mr. Rawls. It's okay.
I got on the walkie-talkie and asked did anybody need assistance, and no one answered. So procedure is not to leave my area, but I left my area to go around the corner to see what was going on. There was janitors in the hallway, and I could see speckles of blood on the floor, and we were cleaning it up. And I said, what are you guys doing? And one of the janitors mentioned to me, they said, they got him. And I'm like, they got who? And they were like, the student in the classroom down here. So I proceeded past the janitors into Mrs. East's classroom because the only door was open. And as I stepped in, Miss Amy had JT over in the corner, and she had him like in a hold, not like a restraint, but like just hold, like holding him by his arms. And I said, what's going on? And she said, he shot her.
And here's what the teacher, Abby Zwerner herself, had to say about what she remembers from the incident. Because yes, she took the stand.
The moment went by very fast. The look on the student's face is a large memory that I have. I do remember it was like a very blank look, but it wasn't a blank look at all on his face.
And is that why you lifted your hand? Did you know what was about to happen?
Yes. Yep. Obvious, I thought I was dying. I thought I had died. I thought I was either on my way to heaven or in heaven. But then it all got black. And so I then thought I wasn't going there. And then my next memory is I see two coworkers around me, and I process that I'm hurt, and they're putting pressure on where I'm hurt.
Abby ended up being shot in the chest and the hand by JT, and as a result, she sued for gross negligence. And just so you're following, gross negligence is more than regular negligence. So regular negligence is neglecting to do something that regular people would do if they were in that same situation. Gross negligence is neglecting to do something that other people would be shocked to learn that you didn't do. It's being indifferent or like not even being concerned that your action or inaction could affect the safety of other people. And in this particular instance, the jury didn't have to find that one particular action or inaction was grossly negligent by Dr. Parker. They could also decide that when you add up all of the individual negligent things that she did, that collectively equals gross negligence.
Several acts of negligence which separately may not amount to gross negligence, when combined, may have a cumulative effect showing a form of reckless or total disregard for another's safety. If you find the defendant committed more than one act or omission of negligence, you may find the cumulative effect of those acts or omissions equates to gross negligence.
And what Abby Zwerner's attorneys emphasized throughout this trial is that Dr. Parker was informed multiple times about the weapon and the concern the staff was having about it. Yet she never left her office to investigate any of this herself. The attorneys also highlight that the school's safety plan protocol says that in the event of a situation like this, teachers and staff are supposed to inform a school administrator, meaning a principal or an assistant principal. And that administrator is supposed to have the student removed until an investigation is done and it's determined that the student is not a threat.
And again, it's assume the threat is serious, right?
Yes.
Immediately report the threat, right?
Yes.
Be available and cooperative to provide statements. And then the protocol changes and moves to the school administrator based on this document, correct?
Correct.
And it says any school administrator, correct?
Correct.
Dr. Parker was an administrator.
Yes.
And it says again, assume the threat is credible until and unless an analysis suggests differently. True?
Correct.
Does it talk about what, if anything, a school administrator, in this case, Dr. Parker, is supposed to do as it relates to the student making the threat?
Cause the student making the threat
if known, and on campus to be immediately removed from the classroom and segregated into a secured area pending further investigation.
Now, on the flip side to all of this, Dr. Parker's attorneys were arguing a few reasons as to why she was not grossly negligent in this incident. And the first reason being that Dr. Parker did not have a legal duty to protect Abby Zwerner, and she never promised she would protect Abby Zwerner. And therefore, she can't be held liable for not protecting Abby Zwerner.
But I'm going to tell you something. When you get back there, I want you to look at jury instruction number 16 about assuming a duty. And you're going to find, when you read that instruction and you apply it to the evidence in this case, that Dr. Parker did not have a legal duty to protect Ms. Werner. She did not volunteer to protect Ms. Werner.
The second reason is something called contributory negligence, which is the idea that if Abby Zwerner could have done something herself to prevent this from happening, then that absolves Dr. Parker of any liability. It means that she's not responsible for this because Abby Zwerner could have prevented it. And for this point, Dr. Parker's attorneys point to the incident that happened with JT a couple days before the shooting. They say that in that incident, Ms. Werner herself removed JT from her classroom and Ms. Werner herself went next door to call the office. Yet in this situation, Abby never talked to Dr. Parker herself, and she never escorted JT out of her classroom, which could have prevented the situation from happening.
It is the failure to act as a reasonable person would have acted for her own safety under the circumstances of this case. Any negligence of Ms. Werner, which was a proximate cause of the accident, will bar her from recovering. She told you she had taken a student by the hand, had removed a student from the classroom, and that was JT just 2 days before. Did you say to Ms. West, hey, I can't take your class in. I've got my own problems here. I've got an issue with a student who might have a weapon.
No, because at that time I knew that Amy had told administration, Dr. Parker. I honestly didn't think twice. It was my understanding that administration wouldn't think twice as well
Ms. Werner,
when alerted about a potential gun in school.
but you could have taken measures yourself at that time, correct?
Yes.
Did you yourself notify an administrator?
Amy Kovac did.
I'm asking.
I did not myself.
Did not yourself.
Did not clear the playground, did not remove the student, did not take the book bag, did not remove the other students. And so there's a lot of different opportunities and a lot of resources available for assistance that we know were employed in the past. Every person who is in that organization has roles and responsibilities related to safety. Every single person, every staff member, students, administration, everyone that you would consider a school stakeholder has a very critical role in school safety as well as responsibilities related to those roles.
Amy Kovac's text to Dr. Parker 2 days after the incident. Look at this. Amy Kovac to Dr. Parker. You are an amazing person and educator. No one could have ever predicted this. We all did our best. We did what a true teacher will do in this situation. Be there for our children in school. As I look back, I should have sent JT out of the room with a note and a job to deliver it around the school. And I could have gotten that book bag, but I didn't. We can't look back. We can only move forward. I love you and I'm proud to work with you.
Now, in addition to arguing the reasons that Dr. Parker should not be held liable at all for what happened to Abby Zwerner, Parker's attorneys also argued why Abby Zwerner should not receive $40 million. And they essentially say that Abby Zwerner's life is not as affected as she said. That feels gross to say, but that's essentially what they were arguing. On direct examination, Abby testified that she can't even open a bag of chips as a result of being shot.
We catered sandwiches in a box and a small bag of chips and cookies were catered, and I was trying to open the bag of chips on my own multiple times, different ways, trying to hold it different ways, and I eventually asked you to open it. It's the same thing with water bottles. Overall, I would say I do struggle with doing things.
But on cross-examination, the defense highlights that Abby has gone on to become a licensed cosmetologist, which requires intense use of her hands.
You went to cosmetology school, correct? About a year after the events that bring us here today.
Yes.
That question you were asked, is there anything that might prevent you from achieving your dream of starting or completing school, meaning cosmetology school, correct?
Yes.
And your response was part-time job at gym.
Yes.
You completed the Empire School cosmetology program, correct?
Yes.
And to become licensed, you successfully completed the 1,500-hour education requirement.
Yes.
And you passed all practical examinations prior to earning your license in July 2025. Is that right?
Yes.
Dr. Parker's attorneys also call out some Instagram DM messages that Abby sent to Taylor Swift and another band.
It's a private message I sent to Taylor Swift.
And you let Ms. Swift know that you were the teacher from Rich Neck Elementary School who had been shot.
Yes.
And that you had been to the Eras Tour in Philadelphia. And that was in May 2023, correct? That you went to the Eras Tour concert in Philadelphia?
Yes.
That was a few months after the tragic shooting, correct?
Around summertime of 2023, I remember.
And you told Ms. Swift that you were involved in a long court case from the shooting and asked her not to post the message.
Yes.
And you state that you're trying to keep your personal life out of the media. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is this a private message you sent to the band Odessa?
Yes.
And you sent this message on September 13, 2023 as well?
Yes.
And you let this band or producers know that you were the teacher from Rich Neck Elementary School, is that correct?
Yes.
And that you'd been to their show in Bristow, Virginia the night prior. And they're an EDM band, correct?
Yes.
But after 5 days of trial and 6 hours of deliberations, the Virginia jury found that Dr. Parker was grossly negligent relating to the January 2023 shooting of Abby Zwerner, and they awarded Abby $10 million.
Madam Clerk, will you please read the verdict?
We, the jury, on the issues joined, find in favor of the plaintiff, Abigail Zwerner, and assess her damages at $10 million. The award interest beginning on June 1st, 2024.
Now, my understanding is an insurance policy that covers government officials will be able to assist in paying this $10 million judgment, but as of today, this is the verdict. But Dr. Parker's legal problems don't stop here. Toward the end of this month, November, Dr. Parker will be facing criminal charges related to this incident. She is facing 8 counts of felony child abuse and neglect, and each count carries a max of 5 years in prison. So this is not done for Dr. Parker. That's the wrap up. How y'all feel about this case?